Hello everyone, my name is Odin Clack and this is the Odin Leather Goods Workshop. Today is Wednesday, March 3rd, 2021. As we have been doing every week for the last few weeks, I like to do these weekly shop updates. I think I'm changing the name of them once again to just the weekly shop update because I don't know if but maybe one time in the last 6 to 8 weeks I've actually got this done on Monday. Monday shop updates was the original name. It was a takeaway from my good friend Don Gonzalez, who also does a Monday shop briefing. Doesn't seem like Monday is going to be a good day for us. We're just too busy coming in from the weekend, and we like to hit things, head on as soon as we walk through the door. And taking time at the beginning of the day to do a shop update is not been something I've been able to do consistently. There's just too many things going on, and I really can't get here any earlier because I drop my kids off at school first, and then I come to the workshop throughout the week. So we may be pulling them back a little bit, and we're going to do just the weekly shop update, which indicates that we'll be doing these shop updates at least once a week. Maybe not on Monday, maybe not on Tuesday, but certainly every week we'll do at least one of these videos. Some will be short, 15 minutes, some will be long. Like last week, I think we went over an hour on this update. Weeks before that, I think we were around 33, 45 minutes, something like that. Who knows where we'll end up today? I'm just going to talk. I can't imagine we're going to go too long today just because the last week's update was not released until I believe Thursday or Friday, which was just a few days ago. So we'll try to keep things a little brief today, but no promises. All right, so this being Wednesday, we already have quite a bit of activity going on in the shop, as you would expect. We're nearly through the week, and we're starting to get to that point that we hit every week where we start thinking about, oh my gosh, we haven't got enough done. We got to get more done. I think we hit that point at least once, twice a week where we just feel like we're behind, and I am feeling a little behind on some things right now. Brandon's been here every day. He's been cranking out pocket protectors. Pocket protectors has been our job we've been working on now for weeks. I think in total, you think of the total quantity, which is several thousand. We are probably, I think, a little past the halfway point. If you don't know what I'm talking about, these are pocket protectors here. They go in shirt pockets. Usually they go actually in your back pants pocket. They're used by tradesmen to put tools and things like that in. So the tools don't poke holes in their pants and shirts and jackets. Usually you'll find like a screwdriver or a wrench in here, socket, something like that. And they're pretty useful. And we have a really big job we've been working on now for weeks. We still have several more weeks to go. Hopefully we'll be done with it by the end of March. I'm really hoping that's the case. But we've been doing thousands of these, and we're only about halfway done. So we got the rest of the month. The good news is, if you've been following along, you'll notice that you'll remember that one of the things that's been holding us up on this project has been material. Good news is, last week I received a ton of material. We received probably 20 sides of harness leather, I think between two colors, this is a buck brown color. We also have a chocolate brown color we've been waiting on. We got, I think, 20 sides. I've only opened up 2 of the 4 boxes so far, but I think, we have enough leather to keep us going through, I don't know, at least 3 or 4 more batches, I think, and then we'll be in a position where we'll be waiting on leather again. But the leather has been ordered from Wicked and Craig. We're just waiting to receive it. They're trying to get us sides as fast as possible, I know, and I'm grateful for their help. But the faster the better. Last week we were behind schedule because we were waiting to receive leather. This week we have enough leather to keep us going, and the shop itself is just running behind. Yeah, I think it's just getting a little weird. We're just kind of running out a little bit of steam. You can imagine Brandon's been the workhorse on this project, and he's been staring at these things now for weeks, doing almost nothing else here in the shop but working on these pocket protectors. I'm pretty tired of looking at them, and more than anything, I'm tired of seeing him look at them and struggle to get through them. So looking forward to get these out the shop. Now, hopefully, as I'm complaining about being ready to be done with this job, I'm also hoping that we get more orders for these right after that. So, it's a constant process. Part of the solution for us, if we get another order for these pocket protectors, especially one of this size, is to bring in one more person here into the shop to help. That would be a big move for me. It'd be a big move for the shop. But it may be the right thing to do because the areas that I'm falling behind in, and we'll talk more about this later, is kind of keeping up with some of our other orders and some of the other jobs going through. You can imagine a job this big really consumes the whole shop, and it's tough to get much else done while this is going on. So, but let me go in a bit of order. I have my notes here as I always do. I have things I wrote down. Most of these I scribbled down just about 20-30 minutes ago because we've been moving so fast this week. I haven't had a chance to really think about what I was going to talk about today, but I think this would do, and I'll try to be a little more organized next week. So, shop update. I've already talked about pocket protectors. I've talked about being halfway done. We can check that off the list. The other job that I got to get done really between today and tomorrow is a job we're doing for a very notable golf company, a golf review company. Some of you may have heard them. They're called Golf Spy. Golf Spy has been a great client of mine for the last year and a half or so, and I'm really, really appreciative of the work they've sent over here. But we're doing a bunch of ball markers for them right now. This is something we've never done before. These are these little circular ball markers. They're going to have a logo. I'll show you the finished ones on Instagram once they're done, but this was kind of our sample pieces. I'm working on a batch of a few hundred of these right now. I'll be working on them tonight. And when I say tonight, it is tonight. It's 7 o'clock p.m. on Wednesday the 24th. So it seems like most of the work that I'm putting into the shop these days, which is pretty consistent with how the shop has been built over the years, is me working at night. During the day, I'm doing sales, and during the day, I'm doing other jobs and working with other customers and things like that. And then the nights is when I feel like I'm getting most of my workshop work or hours in. And we've had a few late nights already this week, including one that kept me here until about 2 a.m. And I tell you, I'm getting a little older, so that's getting to be a bit tougher. I can do it. I can stay here until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, no problem. That doesn't bother me so much. It's the next day where I'm feeling a bit more drained than I may have felt maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So got to watch that. But the work has to get done, and I will get it done. I haven't let any of my clients down yet, and I don't plan on starting now. But back to the ball markers. So we're doing about 200 of these ball markers. They're going to have a nice logo, heat stamped or embossed on the front. Actually, it's not embossing. It'd be considered debossing, heat stamped or debossed on the cover here. Then it's stitched all the way around, and the edges are finished real nice with toconol and dye and wax to make them real sharp. So these came out really good. They're coming out great. The stitching on here is what I was really worried about to start off with. Stitching that close to the edge and stitching around a circle, such a small circle, was a little bit of a daunting task, or at least I thought it was going to be a daunting task, but actually it's really, really easy to do. It stitches better than square objects. It stitches better than anything else I'm doing on a regular basis. Really happy with this. I thought back to a tip that Joey from Lachlan Leatherworks shared. I think he shared on Instagram. Maybe he sent it to me directly. It's hard to remember. It was over a year ago, maybe even 2 years ago when last I saw Joey. But he had this tip where he created this little jig he put on his sewing machine that helped him stitch circular coasters. And that same little jig is what I'm using to stitch these, and it makes them go really, really fast. Tomorrow, I'll be stitching quite a few of these tonight when I'll be prepping. Actually, no, I don't know if I'll get stitching. I'm going to prep them all, get them all glued up. The coins, the little brass blanks that are inside, because there's a piece of brass inside that gives it a little loft and a little weight. So when you drop it down, you can feel it. It makes them kind of heavy, which is really nice. It feels good in the hand. Will feel good in the pocket too. But I'm going to prep them all tonight, I think. And if I have any steam left over after doing that, I will start stitching some more of these. If not, I will hand them off to Brenda. Brenda, you've probably heard me talk about in other videos, but Brenda is a really nice lady who stops by when we need her just to do stitching for us. She doesn't do any leather work. She doesn't do any gluing or burnishing, anything like that. She just sits down and she just sews her heart out for a couple hours at a time. Usually not more than 3 or 4 hours. Usually it's more like 2 hours, 3 hours, and that may not seem like a big deal, but it is. It's 2 or 3 hours that I'm not having to stitch, or 2 or 3 hours that Brandon's not having to stitch here. She does a really good job. Her background was not in leather work. Her background was just in doing upholstery and other textile work like clothes and seamstress type stuff. But she took to work with leather really quickly. I showed her how to use the machines, which were a bit different than what she was used to using. And that was 4 or 5 weeks ago, and she's been rocking ever since. I give her a call in the morning or in the evening and say, hey, I need you this week. And she is always happy to show up. If nothing else is consuming her schedule, and she's just stitches, and she's been great. So I want to make sure I give her a shout out because as you're probably picking up on these videos, Odin Leather Goods is no longer just me. Odin Leather Goods now is myself and a team that I'm building. And at some point I'll do a video. Maybe next week I'll spend a little more time talking about the team I'm putting around me to keep the company going. we definitely got to the point now where it doesn't matter how many hours I work, doesn't matter how late I stay here or how early I get here in the morning. There's too much work to keep. There's too much work for me to do alone. My wife is involved in the business. We have people at the retail store now. We have 2 people here. It takes a whole team to keep the company going, and that is a blessing. It is. It's because I never thought we would get to that point. I thought it would just be what I could do on my own, by myself, indefinitely, and the company will only grow based on that. But we've outgrown that at this point, and I'm happy for it. And so even in weeks like this, when we're thinking about how we're a little behind and things are getting a little tough on us right now, it's nice to think about where we came from. It's nice to think about the fact that I have so many great people around us that I can call Brandon, I can call Brenda, I can call Joe to come and help. Hunter can come and help also, and get help from them to get us out of these tough spots. Never thought that would happen. So just taking a little moment to reflect. That wasn't in my notes. It's just something I'm processing as I'm talking. The fact that we have a team now is incredible. The fact that it's not just me is absolutely amazing. It's not something I'd spent a lot of time thinking about in the past, and I probably should, because that is a big accomplishment that I probably shouldn't overlook. Things are going well, and we're happy to be busy, and we're happy to have enough work to keep myself busy as well as the rest of the team busy every day of the week. And if things continue to go well, we'll add on to the team, and we'll keep things moving. So anyway, I'll set that aside for now, but it is something worth noting. What else is going on around here? We got ball markers, we got pocket protectors. Been doing a ton of journal covers lately. This is a good season for people ordering journal covers. They give them out as gifts to employees, and they give them out to salespeople. We've had a ton of those orders come through, and people really like coming to us because we can do so many of them at a time. It's not just one a week. It's if you need 100 of them or 200 of them or even 500 of them, we're happy to knock those out for you. We're happy to do them. We've acquired the machinery over the years, which really isn't that different than what you probably have in your shops, to be honest with you. But we've acquired some additional machinery, and more than anything, I think we've acquired the experience to learn how to process jobs of that size quickly and efficiently, and not kill ourselves, but also to be able to deliver a project to the customer on time. So we've done a ton of journal covers over the last few days. We sell them in 2 sizes. We sell a small size, which is like a field note size, and then we sell a larger size that holds moleskin. And I think if I can find a little bit of time to do some prototyping and some testing, I'm going to try to do a 3rd size, which would be a full size, like 8.5 by 11 style portfolio or notebook people can carry with them. I've always wanted to do one. I think they look really, really great, and now may be a good time to do that. The challenge with doing that is the bigger you go, the more waste you typically have with sides, and I like to keep waste to a minimum because we already cut so much scrap over here. You can't see it, but there's a massive pile of scrap over here to my left that has been growing throughout the week. I actually need to do something with that, but that's not necessarily a good thing. I like to keep scrap to a minimum, and the bigger pieces you cut, the more scrap it tends to produce, and I want to keep that to a minimum. So we'll have to be real careful with how we design that larger journal cover to minimize scrap, which also means if you minimize scrap and you increase yield, then your margins will be better. So that's just a little tip there. So a ton of field note covers. I also spent, we had at least 1 or 2 days this week where we have done, I won't say we've done nothing, but we have cut a ton of acrylic templates. You guys have been keeping me crazy busy with acrylic templates, which I absolutely love and appreciate. Thank you so much. The numbers have been incredible. We've been cutting templates. I think we cut templates all day Sunday, all day Monday, and most of the day on Tuesday. We didn't cut any yesterday evening or any today. We took a little break, wanted to give the machine a little bit of rest. I don't know that it needs rest, but it's nice to just lay off. The laser can be a bit loud in here, and so while you may not pay attention to it while you're in the workshop throughout the day, at the end of the day when you flip the switches off, you turn all the fans and exhaust off, it's like, oh my goodness. It's nice to give your ears a rest from that loud noise, that humming of the laser. And it's really not the laser, it's really the exhaust fans that make all the noise, and it's nice to rest from that. So having them off today was a little bit of a treat for us here in the workshop. But tomorrow, if I'm thinking about my inventory numbers correctly, we'll probably have to start cutting templates again tomorrow. Which again, it's a wonderful problem to have. That's awesome. I appreciate all the orders you're giving me, and if you keep ordering them, I'll keep making them. Now, in the template world, we already have the flap wallet template, which has been really good. We have the clutch template, which has been great. The next template I'm going to be working on, I'm hoping to have it done this week, which means it may go on sale as early as this weekend. No promises. Maybe it'll be next week. We'll see. It's going to be our passport wallet. Passport wallets, you may think, why a passport wallet? No one's traveling. I have faith in my heart that we will all be traveling again very soon, and everyone in the world is going to need a passport wallet, and hopefully they'll buy it from me, they'll buy it from you, another leather crafter, and they'll give us their business when they start traveling, because everyone needs a good passport wallet for the travels. And, spring's coming up. I went on vacation a week or so ago and had a great time. I had to bring my passport with me. It was nice to have it stored in that nice, package, that leather wallet, and pull it out of there and be able to store my travel cards and things like that in there. It was great to have it in one place, protected. So passport wallets will be the next one. I think that you'll like the template. It's very easy to build. It's very easy to put together. In fact, it is the very first design that I had clicker dies made for years ago, right? I had a job from a company, a magazine, in fact, here in Dallas named Dapper Magazine, where they asked me to make a bunch of passport wallets for some of their customers and some of their VIPs that were going to be at a party they were doing. And I made a ton of them. I made, I think, well over 100. That's a ton. Back then, that was a whole lot. It took me forever to do. Made them all. They look great. And I've been using the exact same passport wallet template ever since then. And I haven't changed it because it works really, really well. So I'm going to go ahead and release it as an acrylic template. You can purchase it online once it's available. Don't go look right now because it's not available. I haven't even done the graphic work for it yet. I need to pull it all together and put it in a nice little package. But hopefully by this weekend or early next week, I'll have that new passport wallet template available to you. So that's that. Okay, so what's next? Okay, next week's going to be a bit of a bear too, because we have spring break coming up here. My kids are going to want to do something, especially given that I took my wife on vacation a week or two ago without them. They're like, you've got to do something with us. And they're right. They spend just as much of their heart into this. They put just as much of their heart into this business as I do, because I'm always here, and I'm always coming home late, and they're hanging out here after school, and there's always some need to come back here to do something. They put a lot into this as well, and they should be receiving the fruits of our labor and the fruits of our sacrifices to make this business grow just as much as myself and my wife do. So we are committed to doing something with them for spring break. My grand idea was to take them camping. Camping seems like a wonderful thing. My family has a nice little swath of land down around San Antonio, Texas. It's in a little place called Gonzales, Texas. If you're a Texan, you know the importance of Gonzales to Texas history. That's where they have the cannon, and the come and take it flag comes from. It's from Gonzales. We have some land there, which is where my father and his brothers and sisters grew up, and I absolutely love going down there. Now that I live here in North Texas, it's a little harder to get to because it's about a 5-hour drive. But as a kid, it was my favorite place in the world to go to. And honestly, if I'm being truthful, it's still my favorite place in the world to go to, even if I don't go down there as much as I like. But next weekend, we're going to go camping. I got all the equipment. I got the tents. I got the cots. They're going to be as comfortable as a person can be when camping. They're not going to be staying at the Ritz-Carlton or anything, but they're going to be fairly comfortable. My wife has agreed to come, which is a big deal. I didn't think she was going to like that, but we're going to go camping for a few days, and then on the way back to Dallas, we'll stop in Austin, Texas. Hopefully, see a couple of friends like Noah Marion and a few other people there, and we'll give them a little bit of a hotel stay and give them a taste of the good life in a hotel before coming back home to Dallas. That's going to be kicking off their spring break, and hopefully, by doing that for them, they'll give me a little bit of lenience. My kids give me lenience. I can't believe I'm saying that during their week of spring break, because even though they're at spring break, even though they're out of school and they have spring break going on, I'm still working here in the workshop. I'm still doing the other jobs. My wife's going to be managing the store, so it's not like we can just take the whole week off and just gallivant around town in Texas and enjoy ourselves, right? So it's nice to take a few days at the beginning of spring break because we know there's going to be a lot of sitting around iPad time there once we get back when they're actually out of school. So that's kind of our plan. It should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Camping, a night or two in a hotel after that, and everyone should be happy at least for a few days. We'll see. So it's coming up. But because we are leaving town, because we are doing that, that means it's going to be 3 or 4 days of me out of the workshop again. And that means I need to start prepping for it now. I need to prep for a couple of things. One, I need to make sure clients that are waiting on things, they get taken care of before I leave. I also need to make sure that I have things like the acrylic templates cut and stored up in supply so that we don't get hit with a lot of work when I get back in town. I also need to make sure that I have enough consumables in store here in the workshop for Brandon and Brenda and everyone else to keep working. So let's dig into that just for a minute. What do I mean by consumables? So all the things that would stop a job from being done. You know, if you've been doing leather work for a while, you know it's not just leather you need here. You need glue, you need adhesive, you need thread, you need double-sided tape, you need, Toconol for edges, you need dye, you need hardware, you need all these different things, right? And we get so focused on buying leather at times that we forget that without the other pieces too, we can't complete the job. For instance, I'll go back to this pocket protector job. I looked today in my bin. I have a hardware bin over here on the side. Looked in my bin, and I realized I only had 5 bags of rivets left. Each one of these gets a rivet each. And again, if I have 1,500 or 2,000 more of these to do, that's like 4,000 rivets. There's only 5 bags over there and 100 in each bag. That's a problem. That's a red flag. That's a warning for me. I probably should have ordered those rivets a week or two ago, if not weeks ago, to make sure that we never ran into a problem a problem where the work would stop because we're waiting on something like rivets. Certainly, Brandon has enough rivets over there to get this batch done. But if I wait too much longer, he'll have all these done. The client will be waiting for me to ship them off and deliver them, and we'll be sitting here twiddling our thumbs because we don't have doggone rivets. So it is imperative that me, as leader of the business, you and leader of your business, that you're always thinking about all those things like that. The goal here is to keep people moving, to keep myself moving, my wife Rochelle moving, keep Brandon moving, keep Brenda moving. And the way we do that is by planning out work. And part of planning out work is making sure that all your consumables are in place. I typically try to have things like things done in redundant things. So if I order glue, I don't just order 1 gallon of glue. I'll order 2 gallons of glue. Why? Because it's not going to go bad on the shelf. And if I run out of one, I always have one in backup. I'm not perfect with that, but that's kind of my goal, is to always have multiples available to pull from. Sure, there are some pieces of hardware and some things that I only order when needed, but most of what I go through on a daily basis are things that I try to keep in stock. One thing a problem I ran into today when I was stamping all these ball markers with the logos is I didn't have any blue tape. Blue tape is a big deal for me here. I have to have plenty of blue tape at my disposal. I use blue tape to to position jigs on the heat stamping machines. I use blue tape with the laser. I use blue tape around the workshop. I use blue tape to help roll up some of these sides of leather behind me, hold it together. And I use it so much that it's becoming an important part of my workflow. There may be other ways to do things. You may choose to do things differently. That's fine. But for me, when I looked up and didn't realize I didn't have my blue tape, that was a big deal. So I had to run out and get some. And when I ran out to get some, that took me 30, 45 minutes to get to the hardware store and back. Think about this. If I leave town next week to go on vacation and go on spring break camping with my kids, and Brandon needs blue tape, which he uses a lot too because he sees how I do things, now what is he going to do? Is he going to run out? Is he now going to have to be responsible for going to get blue tape from my workshop? Well, no, that's silly. So I have to be paying attention to those consumables all the time, making sure there's rivets, making sure there's buttons and snaps. There's a lot of things like snaps and buttons that we go through on a regular basis. We don't really count them, right? It's just, we constantly just use them. We typically don't even plan for them when we're doing jobs because there are always a big bin of them there. But if we let the bin get down to nothing and then we're trying to process the job and we realize we only have snaps, right? That's a problem, especially if, that snap was not the last thing that needs to be done on the job. What if it's the thing that needs to be done second or third in the job? That means the rest of everything else has to be done for putting that item together is on hold. And that's just not acceptable. So I am trying to do a much better job of paying attention to consumables and hardware and things like that. Leather, we got leather. We order it. We order it when jobs come in. I think we're okay with ordering leather for the moment. But we can't be so focused on leather that we forget about everything else. It sucks when you run out of thread, right? Because when you run out of thread, you got to go find more. And there's really only one place here in town that I can go to get thread. And what happens if they run out of the color thread that I need, right? Does that mean that half the job is going to be done in one color and the half job is going to be done in another color? Clients aren't going to like that. So I've got a plan for thread up front, like with everything else. And I can go on and on about that, but pay attention to your consumables, pay attention to things that you need and that you're using on a regular basis, and buy them in multiples when you can. Sometimes when you're starting off, I know that's difficult to do. That's okay. But as your business grows and as your craft grows, think about the things that are going to keep you moving in your craft. And consumables is one of the things. Buy multiples, stock up on them, keep them on the shelf, and know that you're going to go through them in due time. Now, I would not do that for really expensive things. Like I have some really expensive belt buckles over on the side here. These really heavy-duty Japanese brass buckles I get from District. They're beautiful buckles, but they're really expensive, like 25, 30 bucks a piece. I don't keep those in bulk. I don't go through them fast enough to where it would make sense for me to keep those, stacked up, 50 of them over here inside. That's ridiculous. I'd be lucky if I have one of them over there. Something like that, I'll order when the orders come through. I'll order them as needed. But for things like snaps, rivets, buttons, glue, thread, things like that, keychains or key rings, those are the type of things I want to keep in bulk over here in my hardware rack. So, all right. So what's next? Shop tour. Last video, I said that Hunter was going to be through that weekend and we were going to do a shop tour video. Unfortunately, none of that happened last weekend. I also had a class schedule, and you may have remembered me talking about how we're going to start doing some classes, or we're going to start setting aside some time every week just for consulting, where someone can go online and they can click the little button. They can say, hey, Odin, I need 30 minutes of your time or an hour of your time to talk about Facebook or Instagram, or I need an hour of your time to talk about patterns or quoting jobs, whatever the thing is. I'm going to list out the most common questions I get, or groups of questions I get, and then you can go in, you can schedule time. There'll be some fees associated with that because, it's not so much that I want to just milk everyone for money and I want everyone to give me cash. That's not the point. The point is I just need to be a little more judicious with my time, because I love talking about this stuff. I love taking phone calls from people and having people walk in off the street to come talk about what we're doing here. I absolutely love that. But my wife and others around me are reminding me that that's time that when I'm talking to those people, that's time that I'm not spending in the business. That's time I'm not spending helping Brandon out getting these pocket protectors done. And that's time, more often than not, that I'm taking away from my kids who are at home waiting for me to come home at night. So, going to be a little more judicious with my time moving forward. It's something that I need to practice this year, and we'll set up very specific times throughout the week. There'll be some on the weekdays, some mornings and evenings, as well as some weekends that say, hey, we have 30 minutes here to talk about whatever. You can go on, there's a little bit of fee, and the fee is really designed to make sure that it's worth my time to talk to you, but also, and that sounds really crappy, that's not what I mean. It's worth the time that we're putting out, and I'm able to give you my whole, I'm able to give you my full attention while we're having a conversation, and I'm not having to rush off to get back to something else. That's what it's designed for. Not so much just to make a bunch of money off of it, but really to make sure that I can give you my attention while we're talking. That's the goal. So I have a lady coming over this weekend. We're going to spend 3 hours talking about some of her patterns. We're going to spend those 3 hours talking about our patterns, as well as giving her kind of a beginner's course on leather work, the tools, how to use a sewing machine, things like that. 3 hours is a nice big chunk of time, and I'm really, really confident that she's going to walk away with a kind of a boost into leathercraft, and we'll see how that goes. But we're going to spend all the time with her, 3 hours, and then after we're done with that little class, that one-on-one class, we're also going to do the shop tour video. We've scheduled it. I've got the young lady coming in the morning, and I've got Hunter coming in the afternoon. We're going to spend the entire Saturday doing leathercraft stuff, training up front on the front side, and then video work on the back side. And the video we're planning on doing is all about the shop tour. Was scheduled last week, but we had some issues come up. I had someone that could not make it to the store. One of my my retail ladies, got sick last week and was not able to make it to the retail store. So being a business owner, I had to stop what I was doing here, and I had to go to the store, which I'm very happy to do. I actually love being in the store. They don't like me in the store too much because they'd rather me be here, but I like being in the store because it's my chance to see the products on the shelf. It's my chance to talk to customers, and it's just an enjoyable space. If you haven't been out to the store in Grandscape, please do. Let me know what you think. I think the store is beautiful. It's calm. It's relaxing. It has a good vibe to it. And I love going out there to kind of absorb all that. Plus, it has my name on it. So why wouldn't I want to go out there to the store? The ladies try to keep me out of there just because they want me here in the workshop making stuff. And I get that too. Really, I guess what we're trying to say with the solo segment here is that I need to be managing my time in a much more direct way, right? Whether it's time that I'm spending at the store because I just want to be there and enjoy that space, or time that I'm spending here in the workshop, or time I'm spending talking to people on the phone and answering questions, whatever it may be. I just need to be a little more control with how that happens. So we're going to start practicing that right away with the class this coming week, and then the shop tour thereafter. I'm excited about the shop tour because I think it's going to kind of pull together all the videos I've done over the last few years and the angles and me talking about different machines. It'll pull it all together in one video, and I think you can see everything we got going. You'll see the dies, you'll see the different spaces, you'll see the dirty spaces, and you'll see the clean spaces, which there's probably at this point more dirty spaces than clean spaces, but it's a workshop, so what do you expect? Looking forward to it. It should be a lot of fun. That should be out probably by the end of this month, I would imagine. It really depends on how fast Hunter can work on it and how much we record. I like to think it's going to be a 10 or 15 minute long video, but that usually means there's hours and hours worth of recording that Hunter has to get through to edit it down to something that's going to work for YouTube. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully by the end of the month, but we'll see. All right, so the last thing I want to talk about before I answer some questions is challenges this week. I've already talked to you about time challenges and running out of materials and things like that, but what I really want to mention is, how that impacts getting orders out for customers. Because we're in kind of a niche space, customers tend to give me a lot of leeway with knowing that orders, they give me a lot of leeway because they know that I'm not Amazon. If you go on Amazon today, you order something. If you order some ink pens, they're going to be out the door by the end of the day. They're going to be probably to your doorstep tomorrow. If you order, a cooler or something on Amazon, it's going to be to you within a couple of days. Niche businesses like mine and like many of yours are businesses that require some grace from our customers. We get grace from them because we build up some credit essentially with them, that they know that if they're willing to wait a few more days to get products, that it's going to be worth it. Customers give me a little grace by saying, hey, I know I ordered it on Monday. It's okay if it doesn't get out till Friday. Now, over the last year or so, maybe 2 years, we've been working really hard to get orders out faster and faster. If you order acrylic template for me today, that acrylic template most likely will be out by the end of the day. If you order tonight, it'll be out tomorrow morning. Same thing with wallets and bags. Usually there's about a 24 to 48 hour turnaround between when an order comes in and when an order goes out. And I think that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that turnaround. Would I like it to be lower? Sure, I'd like for you to be able to order a wallet this morning and me to have it shipped out by this afternoon, but we're just not quite there yet. A lot of that has to do with where the inventory is being stored. I have some things at the store, I have some things here at the warehouse or the studio, and we have to manage where we pull those items from. We're going to work that over time, but the key thing here is that I guess I'm pointing out is that we're a little behind right now, and we've got to fix that. Not sure how we're going to fix it just yet. We're working on new ways to package orders. We're working on new processes for how we grab things from the store when there's something there that we don't have here. All those things are in progress, and we're going to get them wrapped up and figured out as quickly as as we can. Shipping and fulfillment is a tough thing, right? Small business owners I've talked to, ones especially that have started out of their homes, and I've talked to a lot of them. The thing that really eats them up day to day is the fulfillment, right? Fulfilling. Order comes in and you packaging it up and getting out the door. It's a bear. You'd be surprised. We'll spend all day just packaging up orders. If we hire more people, one of the areas that we'll probably hire for is just someone to spend half a day every day just packaging up orders. It takes more time than you would think. Also going to be very expensive too, so you got to manage your costs. Things like tape, oh my God. Tape is crazy expensive if you're not paying attention to it. Boxes cost money, right? So managing those consumables, again, we were talking about consumables for leather work earlier, but we got to manage consumables for things like fulfillment as well. That's important. I have, earlier this week I ran out of one size of box. I had to run out and get it. Well, running out to get it is going to take me an hour, right? That's an hour that I could be using here in the workshop to do ball markers or more pocket protectors or whatever it's going to be, or making bags. So managing consumables all the way around. I really hadn't thought about this earlier, but it's not just consumables for the leatherworking side of the business, but it's also consumables for the fulfillment and business side of things. So you got to manage that. But, fulfillment is tough. And if you're struggling with it right now, I encourage you just, don't give up on it. It can be done. The biggest piece of advice I can give you for fulfillment is go get yourself a dedicated label printer. One of these Dymo label printers, these 4x6 label printers, is the most awesome investment you can make if you're shipping product, right? Especially if right now you're doing labels by printing them off on an inkjet printer or something like that, and folding it in half and taping it to the box. That Dymo printer, 4x6 label printer, is an outstanding thing to have. I, one point in time, was using the Dymo printer to do my packing slips and the label itself that goes on outside the box. Doing them both on that 4x6 sheet of paper really cut things down in the workshop in terms of fulfillment. The thing also to pay attention to is we've really put a lot of time and effort into figuring out what boxes we want to use. You may think that you want to put things in the smallest box possible, and generally speaking, you do want to put it in the smallest box possible. But if you only ship that small item once a week or once a month, and you don't want to have a stack of those small boxes hanging around. So trying to find the balancing point between how many box sizes do you have available to you at any given time. Do you need to have really big ones? Do you need to have really small ones? You know, can you find one that's kind of in the middle that's going to cover 80% of the things that you ship out? Those are things that we struggle with, and I keep on saying struggle. Those are things that we deal with day to day to make sure we have boxes for. Speaking about fulfillment again, we had an issue where we shipped out a couple of templates last week or the week before, and they arrived to their new owners broken, right? Well, that sucks. One, I've already spent money on shipping. I've spent money on the packaging. That's money that's down the drain because obviously I've got to ship them a new one as quickly as possible. And typically I'm going to expedite that new shipment to them as well. So now any money or any profit I thought I was going to make on that acrylic template is going to go down the drain because it's my job, my duty to make sure I get them a new one as quickly as possible. That's that's what I'm supposed to do. But when you're thinking about packaging, hey, maybe it's more affordable for me to actually spend a little more money on stiffer packaging like cardboard up front so that I don't have to worry about shipping new products out later. One, it's bad for the customer experience, and two, it's actually bad for my bottom line. So I've got to be more conscious of that. So we spent some time this week where we went out and researched some new boxes, and I think we have a great solution. And it's one box we'll be able to ship pretty much all of our templates in moving forward. If you order an acrylic template, there's these white boxes that kind of fold up, and the size can be flexed. We can make the box bigger or smaller depending on what's inside of it. And it's going to be a much more rigid piece of packaging that should protect the templates a lot better, especially if they are being shipped further distances. Now, of the hundreds of templates we shipped out so far, there's only been 3, 4, maybe 5 of them that have broken before they've gotten to their destination. But that's enough for us to reconsider what we're doing, because as we do more templates this year, and again, my goal is to do like one new design per month. As we do more of those, the likelihood of breaks going up is very high. So we want to start working on that problem now. Now, with the new packaging, one of the things that we considered, of course, is it going to protect the item well? Is it going to be able to ship majority of our templates, the big ones and the small ones, in the same package? But also how much tape goes into that packaging, right? I mentioned tape a little while ago. Tape is expensive, and we want to reduce the amount of tape that we are putting on each package. You can't just wrap a package round and round and round with tape to protect it, because tape costs money. So we look for packaging that's only going to take one strip of tape, right? That saves us probably a few cents per package. Those are things that we think about as we're doing this. And of course, we're also thinking about how fast do the boxes go together? How fast can I put the piece of tape on there? Can you imagine if I'm doing things really slow and our boxes take a long time to mess with? That means I maybe hire someone in the future. I'm going to be paying that person $15 an hour or whatever the going rate will be at the time to mess around with tape and boxes. No, I want to pay $15 an hour for them to package everything and get out the door, not to screw around with awkward boxes. So again, paying attention to all those things. And if you're running a business, you'll be paying attention to them too. Don't let those little pennies slip out the door because you have bad processes or because you haven't thought about things like that, right? I think my first year or two in business, I can't imagine how much money I wasted just in tape, right? It seems like a little thing when you're doing 1 or 2 packages, but as you do more, the cost of tape is something that we pay attention to. So think about that. All right, so question and answer. Didn't take a lot of time this week to get on Instagram and ask people to send their questions in, because I just did it last week. The video came out so late, so I didn't want to do that again. We'll do it again. We'll do that next week. This coming weekend, maybe on Sunday or maybe Monday I'll put out a call for questions, and we'll do that like we normally do. But this week I'm just going to answer one question, and it's really a question that we talked about last week, and apparently it raised some eyebrows, or at least it got people thinking, and it was about this idea of going full time. When is a good time to go full time? And again, I talked about this last week some, but one comment came in and was like, hey, is going full time good when you can't keep up anymore? That may be the conventional wisdom. Maybe that's what people say. Oh, you can't keep up with the orders that are coming in. You should quit your day job, and you should start doing your passion, leather work, woodwork, wood metal work, whatever. And you should start doing that full time. I don't know if I agree with that. In fact, I'm pretty sure I don't agree with that concept. Just because you can't keep up doesn't mean it's time for you to quit your day job, right? Doesn't mean it's time for you to give up, your steady income. There's a few reasons why you may not be able to keep up, right? So let's talk about those reasons. One of the reasons is you're really, really busy, right? You have more orders than you can keep up with. Okay, that's a good reason to have. But if you were to quit your day job, the orders that you have right now is what you're gonna start this new phase of your life with. Is that amount of orders going to keep you afloat? Is that amount of orders going to keep all your bills paid, right? If that was the answer, then you may have already given up your day job, right? And so I'm assuming that quitting your day job is not necessarily going to bring you the income that you need. I think it's a safe assumption we should go with to be conservative in this discussion. So just because you can't keep up doesn't necessarily mean that you have all your income waiting for you just on the other side of the fence. I don't think that it really doesn't work that way. Also, what doesn't is not very intuitive is just because you put 8 more hours a day into your craft doesn't mean you're going to get double the revenue, right? I think one of the things we run into this idea is that, well, if I just put more time into my business, then I'm going to make more money. If I double the amount of time I put into my business, I'm going to make double the money. It didn't work like that for me. More time actually meant that you have more time to pay attention to things like accounting and bookkeeping and emails and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get, you're going to double the time in your workshop. And in fact, just because you double your time in workshop and you double your production doesn't mean you're going to sell it all, right? Now, if you're starting at a point where you have a ton of clients waiting for you, and the reason why you can't service them is just because you can't produce fast enough, maybe that's the case, but I would just be real cautious about that, right? So anyway, going back to the original question, which was, when I can't keep up with the orders today, should I quit my day job? Again, do the math on that one. That may not play out the way you expect it to be. That's a mathematical question there. Do the math and see if you can pay all your bills, right? That's the first thing you should do. The other thing to ask yourself is, why can't you keep up? This is maybe even the more important question. Why can't you keep up? Are you not able to keep up because you're inefficient? Are you not able to keep up because you don't have the right tools? Are you not able to keep up because you're doing things the wrong way and you're not doing things in the most efficient way possible? Those are questions to ask. For my first few years in leathercraft, I was racking my brain trying to figure out how to do more and keep my day job. The way I managed it was I tried to be more and more efficient. I tried to do things easier and easier. I tried to batch things. I tried to invest in things that were going to help my business be more efficient. Like even things like going from a 2x4 foot table to a 4x4 table, or a table that was 4 foot by 6 feet wide. Having more space made me more efficient. Including things like a burnishing wheel, made me more efficient. Including things like a foot press made me more efficient. There's all these different things I could do to make my work life more efficient. It wasn't so much about me finding more time or me finding help. It was about taking the time I did have available to me when I was working a day job and being the most efficient with it possible. A very simple thing that I did in my workshop is I took out all the chairs, right? You say, what does that have to do with being efficient? Well, I knew that coming home from work at 6 p.m., planning on hanging out with the kids and the wife until 9 p.m., then going in the workshop after 9 p.m., I was going to be tired. Why wouldn't you be tired? You've worked a whole full day at the office. Well, if I'm tired, if I'm sitting down in a chair, it means I'm going to be moving a bit slower, right? Instead, I took all the chairs out and I made sure that I was always standing up in the workshop, meaning I was always moving. If I want to sit down, I had to get my work done faster and then I can go inside and I can sit down on the couch. But while I was in the workshop, I wanted to be moving. Sitting down made me tired. Okay, get rid of that. Things like having a TV in the workshop, right? So one of the things I've done for the last few years is I have a TV in the workshop. I can see it right here in front of me. I don't use the TV during the day. And the reason why I don't use the TV during the day is because while I'm working on things, you constantly look up at it. Even if it's programming or news or whatever that you're familiar with and you can hear in the background, you're constantly looking up at it. Instead, what I prefer to do during the day is I prefer to listen to music. Music has a rhythm, it has a beat to it, and it helps you kind of keep stepping throughout the day. Those are little tricks, little life hacks that I use for myself. They may or may not work for you. You have to figure out what works for you. But that's how I do things. Avoid using the TV during the day. Instead, try to listen to music. Avoid sitting down in chairs in the evening so you can keep moving, so you don't get too tired. Things like that. Another big thing that was really good for me, the one thing that increased the time or increased my production in the workshop, especially as a solo craftsman, was having a good hand press and foot press in the workshop. I bought like a $99 hand press, little red hand press. I brought it to my workshop. Now I can set snaps and rivets in seconds versus minutes. I didn't have to go find some tools on the side. I didn't have to worry about doing it incorrectly. All I have to do is put it on there, pull the handle down, and the snap is set. That was probably the one of the best productivity tools that I bought was that hand press. And now since then I have a foot press. Actually, I have two foot presses now, and I wouldn't live without them. I mean, those things make me much more efficient. The sewing machines, I get that question all the time. Sewing machines may or may not be an efficiency thing for you. If sewing faster is your thing, maybe that works, right? But there's problems with sewing machines also. You got to repair them. You got to maintain them. They always break when you least need them to, and you got to spend time with that. So sewing machines is one of those question mark items. I'll put a question mark by that. May be a big efficiency thing for you. It may not. Just depends on what you're making and your workflow. There are plenty of people out there that are hand sewing tons of stuff, and they're working very, very efficiently. Quarter, I think in New England, is one of those people, I believe. Noah Marion down in Austin, they all hand stitch. They do a ton of work, and they get it all done without a machine. So that's not necessarily the efficiency thing that you're thinking about. Clicker press could be an efficiency thing. If you have things that you're trying to cut by hand all the time, well, a clicker press maybe help you out. You may say, well, I don't produce enough to warrant buying a clicker press. Okay, that may be true, but clicker presses aren't just for going fast, and they aren't just for producing more. Sometimes clicker presses are more about continuity and consistency. If you're using a die, every shape you cut out is always going to be the same. That could add to your productivity. It doesn't have to be a clicker press like this. This is a big hydraulic one. You have hand presses over there. Before I even got my manual Mighty Wonder Press, I had a little arbor press, a little $50 arbor press from Harbor Freight that I used to click things out with. Those are all options. I even had clicker dies that had handles on them that I could hit with a mallet, right? Those worked out very well as well. Those are all things that can make you more efficient. So before you start talking about quitting your day job, pay attention to things like, am I going to be able to make rent and pay my bills just because I quit my day job? Ask yourself those questions. Ask yourself a question about, hey, is it more about me having more time that's going to make me more efficient, or is it just me being more efficient with the time I do have that's going to make me better in the workshop? Those are all questions I think you should ask before you consider quitting your day job. Now, I'm not trying to talk you out of quitting your day job. I'm just trying to share with you a few different angles on things. I believe having a day job is a very powerful thing. I think it means that you can work in a much more calm manner because you're not out there trying to hustle and pay bills necessarily at the end of the day, because the day job covers your I'm assuming covers most of your expenses. That's a good thing to have. It means that you can do your craft a little more deliberately. You can pick and choose what you want to make versus having to take any job that comes your way. I think those are all advantages to starting your business. So I'm a big fan of doing this as a side hustle. I'm a big fan of keeping your day job as long as possible. I'm a big fan of having more than one paycheck. I'm a big fan of spreading out my risk, and I'm a big fan of making sure that all my bills are always paid, and I would encourage you to do the same thing before you take any really big jumps or leaps. Now, if you do decide to take a big jump and leave your day job, I wish you the best. I'll be praying for you, and I'll be very hopeful for you, and I know it can be done. If things do get tough and things are hard at times, but it can be done. Let me stress it to you and say it to you again. It very much so can be done if you want to do this for a living. I'm just suggesting that you go into it with eyes wide open, and you don't do it just because you're tired of your day job, you're tired of your boss. Because as soon as you start doing this craft as a full-time job, or any other craft, woodworking, YouTubing, whatever it is you want to do, the game changes a little bit, and it may not change the way you expect. Okay, so we could talk about more of that later on the next episode, or episodes in the future. Send me your questions on Instagram. Send me your questions via email. Add your questions here in the comments below. And if you don't mind, I would really appreciate it, because it helps us out tremendously. Like this video, share this video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the new channel. And if you are subscribed, click the little bell icon wherever it is around here, so that you can be notified when I post new videos. I'll be doing at least one of these shop update videos a week, unless we take vacation or something else happens, but the schedule is generally once a week. And then once or twice a month, I'll also do more of a produced video with the help of Hunter, who does all the editing for me. Again, the video we'll be doing this weekend is going to be the shop tour. All that's coming. We may actually do a review of clicker dies as well. I get a lot of questions about clicker dies. So if we have time this weekend, we'll also do another video about the benefits and merits of the different types of clicker dies that I use in my shop, and where you can find these clicker dies in the future. Okay, so again, thanks. Like, share, subscribe if you don't mind. I appreciate all your support. I appreciate all your purchases, all the wonderful comments below that you've been giving me on the other videos. It keeps me going through the week, and it lets me know that this is these videos are valuable. I know I ramble a lot, and sometimes I don't think that I'm really connecting, or my words are matching up. And if they don't, I apologize, but I'm doing my best, and I appreciate you joining me for the journey. We'll just get better and better together over time. So thank you very much. All of you have a great evening, and I will see you on the next episode of Shop Talk with Odin Leather Goods. Bye.